Mark 15, beginning at verse 22. And they brought him to the place called Golgotha, which means place of a skull. And they offered him wine mixed with myrrh, but he did not take it. And they crucified him, and divided his garments among them, casting lots for them to decide what each should take. And it was the 3rd hour when they crucified him. And the inscription of the charge against him read, "The King of the Jews." And with him they crucified 2 robbers, one on his right and one on his left. And those who passed by derided him, wagging their heads, saying, "Ah, you who would destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days, save yourself and come down from the cross." So also the chief priests with the scribes mocked him to one another, saying, "He saved others, he cannot save himself. Let the Christ, the King of Israel, come down now from the cross, that we may see and believe." Those who were crucified with him also reviled him. And when the 6th hour had come, there was darkness over the whole land until the 9th hour. And at the 9th hour Jesus cried with a loud voice, "Eloi, Eloi, lema sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And some of the bystanders hearing it said, "Behold, he's calling Elijah." And someone ran and filled a sponge with sour wine, put it on a reed and gave it to him to drink, saying, "Wait, let us see whether Elijah will come down to take him down." And Jesus uttered a loud cry and breathed his last. And the curtain of the temple was torn in 2, from top to bottom. And when the centurion who stood facing him saw that in this way he breathed his last, he said, "Truly, this man was the Son of God."
So welcome to Good Friday. I hope as you listen to this today, you can take some time out to be still, to reflect on all the good of today, to consider how close you feel to God. Maybe you're struggling today to find that peace. Maybe you've had your vaccine. Maybe the coming alleviation of restrictions brings you hope to see family and friends safely. However you're feeling today, be still and focus on the cross. The cross that speaks louder than all the noise of this world. Today's passage is from Mark's Gospel. You'll probably recognise Mark as being the shortest of the Gospel writers. He doesn't waste words on things the first readers already knew. He doesn't provide detail when the imagery was already real enough to those first followers and the early church. Let's look briefly at 2 of those things that Mark doesn't explain today. They brought him to the place called Golgotha, which means place of a skull. And they offered him wine mixed with myrrh, but he did not take it. And they crucified him. And they crucified him. 4 words, and that detail is past. And they crucified him. Those reading didn't need this to be explained. They knew all too well the detail of this, the most barbaric way that anyone can die. They knew the pain. They knew the slowness of life being poured away. They knew the sound of nails going through hands and feet into splintering wood. They knew the screams of pain and anguish. They knew crucifixion was end like no other. And it's an end to us as well. At the cross, all our failures and faults are laid bare. All of our hurt and pain, as the darkness fills the sky, all that drags us into the darkness of this world ends with Christ on the cross. They understood crucifixion. But did they understand that this wasn't just any crucifixion? This was the Son of Man, the Son of God. How could they make sense of this? And of course, Paul picks it up in 1 Corinthians chapter 1 when he writes, "But we preach Christ crucified, a stumbling block to Jews and folly to Gentiles. But to those who are called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ, the power of God and the wisdom of God. For the foolishness of God is wiser than men, and the weakness of God is stronger than men." It was never going to easily make sense. But the crucifixion, the cross, changes everything. Not just in some abstract, collective way, but personally, for you. Today, you are different because of the cross. I'm going to use two snippets of a famous Wesley hymn in this reflection. He left his Father's throne above, so free, so infinite his grace. Emptied himself of all but love and bled for Adam's helpless race. 'Tis mercy all immense and free, for oh my God, it found out me. A second thing that isn't explained by Mark in the passage. And the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The curtain of the temple, or the veil, first appears in Scripture in descriptions of the tabernacle. It was made of blue and purple and scarlet yarn, finely twisted linen. And it was hung before the Holy of Holies. It kept that place where God was to dwell separate. We can read in Exodus chapter 26, "And the veil shall separate for you the holy place from the most holy." The curtain symbolised the separation of God and man. Only the high priest could walk through the curtain on the Day of Atonement to sprinkle the blood of the atoning sacrifice. And whilst we might struggle with some of this type of imagery now, it made sense then. Man was not worthy to stand in the presence of our God. The curtain represented all of the rules God's people followed in this effort to maintain their relationship with him. Mark, along with Matthew and Luke, make this point in their account of the crucifixion, that at the very moment Jesus dies on the cross, at that very moment, the curtain in the temple is torn completely in two from top to bottom. That separation is completely gone. At that exact moment, the way is open for us to be in relationship with God. We can worship. We can know we are saved. We can know peace. We can be changed. God made a way for us through Jesus, and so he tore the veil that separated us from him. The curtain was ornate, massive, specifically crafted, but nothing man-made, nothing of this world can withstand the power of God. So again, we reflect on one of Wesley's hymns. No condemnation now I dread. Jesus and all in him is mine. Alive in him my living head, and clothed in righteousness divine. Bold I approach the eternal throne, and claim the crown through Christ my own. As you reflect today, as you pause, as you look upon the cross, know that it is finished. All that could separate you from God is gone. Whether you feel confident or not in your discipleship today, you are worthy. You are chosen. You are called a child of God. You are loved so much that Jesus died on a cross for you. And boldly you can approach the throne of our God. And so we look to Easter and hope in all that is to come.
To see the dawn of the darkest day, Christ on the road to Calvary, tried by sinful men, torn and beaten them, nailed to a cross of wood. This the power of the cross. Christ became sin for us, took the blame, bore the wrath. We stand forgiven at the cross. Oh, to see the pain written on your face, bearing the awesome weight of sin. Every bitter thought, every evil deed, crowning your blood-stained brow. This the power of the cross. Christ became sin for us, took the blame, bore the wrath. We stand forgiven at the cross. Now the daylight flees, now the ground beneath quakes as its maker bows his head. Curtain torn in